Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from? The woods? A quiet room? Or somewhere darker? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy stories that whisper to you from the edge of sleep, make sure to subscribe and keep the nightlight on. Now close your eyes and listen. These are Nightlight Horror Stories. Story 1. I found the room while helping my cousin renovate the old farmhouse. No doors led to it, yet there it was, tucked between the master bedroom and the stairwell, behind a stretch of drywall that sounded hollow when I knocked. We smashed it open. Dust choked the air, and there it was, a small, windowless room with no light fixture, no furniture, just faded floral wallpaper and a rocking horse facing the wall. The horse rocked slightly, as if disturbed moments before. We joked about it, took pictures, posted online. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing something, soft thumping, like the creak of wood. The house was silent, yet I felt watched. At 3:14 a.m., I finally checked the room again. The rocking horse was facing the door. No one had touched it. Over the next few days, the house changed. Clocks stopped at 3:14. The kitchen radio played children's laughter when unplugged. My cousin laughed it off until I found him standing in the hollow room, face inches from the wall, whispering. He didn't respond until I touched him. He just blinked and asked, "Did you hear her too?" We sealed the room back up, covered it with drywall, paint, everything. But the house groans at night now, and sometimes I swear I hear hoofbeats on wood, soft and deliberate, circling just beyond the wall. I moved out. My cousin stayed. We don't speak anymore. But last night, at 3:14, I heard knocking from inside my wall. Story 2. When I was 10, I used to sleep with my door open. I liked the light from the hallway. It made the house feel safe. But then came the night I saw him. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there. A man, tall and thin, backlit by the hallway bulb. I thought he was my dad at first, but he didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. I pulled the blanket up and waited for him to go away. He was gone by morning. My parents said I dreamed it. But the next night, he was back. Same place. Same silence. For weeks, he came and went. Some nights he was closer, others farther down the hall. Never entered the room. Never made a sound. I started sleeping with the door closed. Years passed. I moved out, forgot about him. Thought maybe I had imagined it all. Until last month, when my daughter said, "Daddy, there's a tall man in the hallway." She drew a picture of him. Same height, same shape, same empty eyes. I left her nightlight on and stayed up in the hallway that night, waiting. At 3:33 a.m., the light flickered. I turned, and there he was, closer than ever. He didn't speak, just pointed behind me, toward her room. He's not in the hallway anymore. Now, he stands at the foot of her bed. Story 3. It started with the bathroom mirror. I washed my face, looked up, and saw my reflection smile. Half a second after I did. Just a delay, a glitch. I blamed it on poor sleep, but it kept happening. Subtle things. My reflection blinked when I didn't. Turned its head a little too slowly. Once it tilted its head as if listening to something behind the glass. Then one night, it didn't copy me at all. I stood still, frozen in front of the sink. But in the mirror, my reflection raised a finger and pressed it to its lips. A long, deliberate shh. I covered the mirror the next day, refused to look. But now I see it elsewhere. Dark windows, quiet screens, puddles on rainy sidewalks. It follows me, mimics me, watches me. And last night, I realized something awful. When I finally looked in the mirror again, I was the one behind the glass. Story 4. My sister died in a car crash 3 years ago. Sudden, brutal. She was 22. We were close. Her last voicemail is still on my phone. Just her laughing, telling me to call her back. I kept it for comfort. Last week, my phone buzzed. A new message. No number. Just static at first. Then, faint breathing. And a whisper. You left me here. I thought it was a prank. But then came another. This time clearer. They won't let me go. Her voice. Broken. Scared. The messages kept coming. Desperate. Garbled. Until the last one. They found a way through. My lights flickered. My TV turned on. No picture. Just a high-pitched hum. And then her face. Distorted. Pale. Stretched by some invisible scream. Reaching toward the screen. I deleted the messages. Smashed the phone. But I still hear her. When I sleep. When I dream. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, I hear her whisper through the walls. You should have called me back. Story 5. I moved into a basement apartment last month. Cheap, damp, but mine. First night, I heard scratching. Not mice. Something bigger. Something slow. I pushed it off. Then, the floor shifted slightly beneath me. Just a tremble, like someone dragging their palm along the underside of the wood. I told the landlord. He laughed. Said the last tenant was paranoid too. Kept complaining about the thing beneath. I barely slept that week. Every night, the scratching got louder, bolder. I'd wake up to something tapping under my bed. Then, I found the hole, hidden beneath a loose floorboard, just wide enough for a face. It looked up at me, a pale eye, cracked lips, smiling. It didn't move, didn't blink. I covered the hole, moved out the next day. The apartment's listed again now, cheap, furnished, and I saw the ad says, new floors, freshly sealed. But I know what's still under there. Story 6. I took a motel room off the highway during a thunderstorm. Room 6. Cheap and quiet, or so I thought. The TV was on when I entered. Static. No signal. I turned it off. Minutes later, it was back on. Same static. But this time, there were voices. Faint, layered, like a dozen whispers fighting to be heard. I unplugged the TV, sat on the bed, tried to ignore the flickering light outside. Thunder rumbled. Then the screen came on again. Unplugged, but glowing. This time, it wasn't static. It showed the room I was in. Same angle, same bed, but it was empty. I looked around. No camera, nothing. Just the same storm, outside and in the image. Then the door opened. On the screen first, then seconds later, in real life. I don't remember running. I just remember the screen showing me, sleeping, even now, and it's still on. Story 7. There's something wrong with the curtain in my bedroom. It's old, heavy, the kind that drapes all the way to the floor. I never opened it. The window behind it is sealed shut, facing a brick wall. But lately, it's been billowing. Not like wind, more like something breathing behind it. Expanding, contracting, quietly. At night, I lie in bed and watch it sway. I've tried pinning it down, taping it to the wall, but by morning, the tape is on the floor. The curtain slightly shifted. One night, I finally pulled it back. Nothing but the brick wall, cold and blank. But the curtain resisted, like it didn't want to move. And then I felt it, a soft exhale on my hand. Since then, the curtain doesn't move anymore. It stands perfectly still. But sometimes, just before sleep, I hear the rings on the rod click, as if something's adjusting it from the other side. I haven't opened it again, because last night, I saw 2 fingers curl beneath the bottom hem. They were tapping, waiting. Story 8. In my office building's basement, there's a door with no handle, no sign, just a flat slab of metal flush with the wall. No one ever mentioned it. One night I stayed late, working on a deadline. Around 2 a.m., I heard knocking. Faint, deliberate. 3 taps, then silence. I went to check. The knocking came from that door. I stood there, heart racing, and heard it again. 3 taps, then a whisper. "Let me out." I ran. Next day, I asked security. The guard went pale. Said the door's been sealed for years. Said once, a man got locked inside by mistake. They heard screaming for days. When they finally opened it, it was empty. I laughed it off until the 3rd night. Same knock, same whisper. But this time, it said my name. And now, every night, I hear footsteps behind me on the stairs. And sometimes, I find the door slightly open, just enough to see the darkness inside move. Story 9. I rent out the basement to a quiet man named Elias. Barely speaks, pays early, keeps to himself. The perfect tenant. Except, I've never seen him blink. He sits outside sometimes, just staring. Not at anything, just ahead. And he's always smiling. Wide, polite, unmoving. No matter the weather. Last week, I knocked on his door. Wanted to check the water heater. He didn't answer, but the door was unlocked. The apartment was empty. No bed, no dishes, no clothes. Just a chair facing the wall. That night, I heard footsteps upstairs. In my kitchen. I grabbed a bat and crept out. And there he was, Elias, standing in the dark, still smiling. He didn't say a word, just turned and walked back downstairs. Next morning, the basement was locked, and his rent was on the table, in exact change. But when I checked the lease file, there's no record of anyone ever renting that room. And now, each night, I wake up with a smile on my face, and it won't go away